Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have got my plants as eye candy, and I'm also going to just take care of them, and you'll see my routine with them as I'm talking through this video. So a lot of you have continued to ask me for more personal finance related videos, and I have been trying my best to sprinkle them in amidst all the other videos that I have out there that are more focused on fashion and luxury. You guys know I've always from day one been about balance, and what I mean by balance is enjoying life's little luxuries, enjoying the moments, and enjoying, what money can offer, what money can buy, but at the same time really focusing on priorities, saving for the future, investing for growth, thinking about a nest egg for you, your family, for retirement, possibly creating generational wealth, and really just being disciplined and committed to financial empowerment and freedom. So it's always been kind of both. I know that at times I've felt a little bit like an oxymoron, where it felt ironic to share personal finance related advice on a channel that is known to be luxury and fashion focused. But I do believe that as people, we are whole human beings and we have a lot of different interests, and we can absolutely be into fashion and luxury and still be very, very conservative with our spending, or very wise and thoughtful with our spending, and really be financially savvy at the same time. So I hope that this will resonate with many of you. I've got some of my plants here. We've got a lot of plants here, okay? Lots of them. They all have their own names, but I have a few that I just want to clean up today. And what I normally do is I just get my little spritzer bottle and I kind of spray them down. Kind of gives them a little refreshing feeling. And then the ones that have these sort of broader leaves, not this one here, the succulent is going to be really pointy and spiky and I can't really get in there, but the ones with the more flat, broad leaves, I do wipe them down just because dust does settle down on these. This is just, I don't know, it's a dust cloth. It's just a little towel that I use, and I wipe them down. So I thought while I'm talking, since I don't have any particular eye candy and I never really have any special eye candy for these finance videos, why don't I just do what I need to do? Oh, this one's heavy. Hold on. Okay, there we go. I'm set up a little bit better now. So I'll do what I need to do and get my morning started, and you have something to look at while we talk. Now, this video is probably more appropriate for beginners, I would say, in terms of figuring out how to best save and grow your money. I'm going to talk about what I personally feel is the absolute easiest way to save and grow your money. And we can always talk about investments in the stock market and real estate and all kinds of other options. But again, I'm going to keep it really simple in this video because I know that many of you have been asking me to just give you the basics. So for starters, the very easiest way to save is to automate your savings so that it becomes something that is a no-brainer, kind of happens behind the scenes every single month, doesn't create any friction in your day-to-day, and it doesn't create any temptation for you to go ahead and either accidentally or intentionally spend that money on things you don't need. So what I would suggest is literally just get a pen and paper. And if you haven't already done this exercise before, you want to sit down and you want to write down every single expense line item that you have. And that would be anything that is a need. And I did a video on this recently talking about wants, needs, and savings. So anything that's a need would be things like housing, food, the bare essentials. If you need utilities, of course, or insurance, or anything that you consider to be an absolute need. I'm not talking about, shoes and handbags and beauty products. I'm talking about serious survival needs, and then maybe anything extra that you think is absolutely, a recurring expense that you just can't do without. We all have those things. And calculate the cost for every single one per month and total it up. So let's make believe, I'm going to make up some arbitrary numbers. Let's make believe your after-tax take-home pay per month is $5,000, just a round number, $5,000. But after you do this exercise of writing everything down in terms of your recurring expenses, you find that you have about $3,500 on a recurring basis that goes out every month. Okay, again, these are just your needs. $3,500. I'm using made up numbers. So then you have $1,500 left, right? Okay, so then you think to yourself, of that $1,500, how aggressive do I want to be with my savings? I think anything above 20% savings per month after taxes is really healthy. So you can either set that up to go into a 401k, an IRA, or if you're already maxing those out, we can talk about liquid savings accounts, which is really what I want to focus on today because I've been getting questions about it. High yield savings accounts. So if you decide that you're going to set up an automatic transfer to happen, let's say on the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month or whatever date you think, just pick a date and be consistent. You set it up and you have it recurring so that every time that date comes around every month, $1,000, again, that's not going to be your number necessarily, but we're working with hypothetical numbers right now, is going to go into high yield savings account. And again, assuming you're already maxing out your tax savings benefits with retirement accounts, then let's assume you're going to do a high yield savings. And I say high yield savings, not just a regular savings, because as I posted on my community page just the other day, typical savings accounts right now are offering absolute measly near 0% interest. So right now it's about 0.01%, which is horrible. And I'm talking about the big banks like Chase and Citibank, okay? So it's like nothing. You're not getting anything. No matter what, if you put your money in a savings account for a really long time, you're essentially losing money. You're losing value on the dollar because it will almost never keep up with inflation. But the reason why we put some of our money into liquid savings accounts is exactly that, because it's liquid, meaning that you can pull it out whenever you need to. It's an emergency fund. It's a buffer for your next vacation or some big plans. It's kind of flexible and free to just open a savings account. And unlike retirement accounts that come with all kinds of rules and penalties if you withdraw early and you're not at the right age and all of that, savings accounts are just really easy. So absolutely you should be saving, in a savings account if you want it to be liquid in that way. And I would say high yield savings accounts is the way to go because, as I posted earlier, you're going to get around 4%. 4%. So as of the date of this video, Capital One is offering 3.75%. Goldman Sachs is at 3.9% and Barclays at 4%. Of course, that's not fixed. It's variable, so it can go up or down. But that is so much better than what you're going to see at the other banks with regular savings interest rates at 0.01%. Okay, so if you have a decent amount saved in your savings account, that's free money right there with higher interest. Okay, and all of the banks that I just mentioned, Capital One, Barclays, and Goldman Sachs, do not require minimum deposits. You can literally deposit $1, $5, whatever, just to get it started. There are no restrictions. It's not any different from any other savings account. I move money in and out very easily. What I do is I connect it to my checking account and I have automatic withdrawals happening every month from my checking account into my savings account so that I don't have to think about it. It's just really easy. It's on autopilot. And again, it removes any temptation or friction from my day-to-day. And I can count on that money being there and I can count on it continuing to grow. Again, it will not keep up with inflation, but it's better than not saving at all. So absolutely, that's what I would recommend, to put your money in for liquid emergency savings. By the way, you guys know, but I have to put in a disclaimer. I'm not a finance professional, never have been, probably will never be one, but I love talking about responsible money management. I've been this way for a long time, since my early 20s, and I've been saving and investing steadily since that age. So it's been about 2 decades. And I just share my own personal experience. So those banks that I mentioned, by the way, I have accounts with all of them. I will say that all 3 banks, they have different types of interfaces online, meaning their website design and all of that. And some are more user-friendly to me than others, but they're all fine, and they're all very easy to connect to your checking account, and it's been very easy to move money in and out when I need to, and so I have not had any issues. There are other banks that I don't use that are smaller, lesser known, and don't have as much of a long-standing history as some of these bigger banks that I mentioned, and they're offering higher, maybe like 4.4. To me personally, and this is going to be different for everyone, but for me personally, that extra like 0.2, 0.3, 0.4% on the interest rate is not worth it or not enough for me to incentivize me to try out a bank that I've never heard of. I kind of stick with the big institutions, and definitely do not put more than the FDIC insured amount in there. If you have to, just split them up. So you might put some in Capital One and then some in Barclays, some in Goldman Sachs. And most people don't have this much in a savings account because it's not really wise to do that for long term. But if you, for example, park your money for your next home purchase or something, you might have a lot. So 250K for an individual, 500 for joint. If you have more than that, definitely split it up. You want to be protected. So yeah, I know some of you are a little bit wary of online banks. Barclays and Goldman Sachs are online, but they're, huge banks. And I've had no issues so far. That doesn't guarantee anything in the future, which is why I say don't go past the FDIC insured amount, because then you won't be protected. Capital One, however, does have some brick and mortar banks, depends on whether it's in your neighborhood or not. But honestly, with the way everything is going and everything being kind of mobile and digital, even if you don't have a brick and mortar bank nearby, or they just don't have brick and mortar banks, it's totally easy and it really is so easy to just connect it to your checking account. And let's say your checking account is your local bank. Maybe it's, like for me, it's Chase Bank. And there's a Chase Bank pretty much around every corner near me. So I just transfer it to my checking and I go over there and I take it out of the ATM, right? There's maybe a little bit of a lag, like 2 to 3 days if it's a large sum to transfer over, but it's really not hard. It's not hard at all. So I don't want you guys to shy away from that just because it's online. And brick and mortar banks are no more secure than online banks. It's really kind of a psychological thing that you can like walk to the bank and see it. So I definitely want to say automate. It makes your life so much easier. I automate everything. Savings, investments into the stock market are also automated, and I also automate donations and I automate our bills. So I just really don't want that type of everyday stress hanging over me. I want it to just be easy and simple. So if that resonates for you, then definitely look into setting up an auto transfer, pick a date, have it recurring. You can have it end like at the end of the year, or just have it unending, just have it leave it open-ended. And then if you change your mind, you can go back in, you can adjust the date, you can adjust the length of time, you can even adjust the amount that transfers over. Sometimes you can pause it. So if you say, I don't want to save for the next 3 months because I have a big expense coming up, and then I want to resave again starting, September, you can do that as well. So it's very simple. Okay, so these guys I think are okay now. They're a little dry. I'm going to water them, but today I wanted to focus on wiping down their leaves, and then I'm going to move over to my other big plant over here. So this is Esmeralda. Let me introduce you, our birds of paradise. And she is huge. She's taller than me by at least a foot. And her leaves are really beautiful and broad, and I need to just wipe them down so she can breathe a little easily. So far, I hope you're not feeling any kind of anxiety. I know that sometimes money conversations do come with a level of anxiety or sometimes confusion and worry. And I feel like the more you learn and the more you take control of your finances, absolutely you will start to feel more empowered and more confident. And we're not talking about major risky things here. I'm not saying go ahead and start trading options. I'm not saying go experiment with some new unknown crypto. I'm saying just save your money. Be in control of how much money comes in and how much money goes out, So if the money comes in because of your job, your effort, your hard work, and you've earned it, then you also want to be mindful of, now, how am I allocating the funds? So a lot of times people say that they don't have anything left over, but they don't really know where it's going. And there's all kinds of statistics out there talking about how Americans who make over $100,000 are living paycheck to paycheck, and they don't know where their money is going. So that's why I say it starts with the exercise of first writing down everything. Write down where your money goes. If you don't know, check your credit card history, check your statements, go back 3 to 6 months. But I think generally most of us know. So, I don't think there's anyone out there who doesn't know what their mortgage payment is, or doesn't know what their rent costs, or, doesn't know roughly how much they spend on groceries. You should know that information, just ballpark. But when I say sit down with a pen and paper, I'm saying don't ballpark it. I want you to be as precise as possible. And this way you know the exact number that's left over. And that's the money that you have the ability to kind of play around with. So again, if you have a certain amount, you say, I think realistically, I can save this much and it won't really feel like a punishment. It won't really feel like I'm depriving myself. It won't feel like I've taken a huge hit in my lifestyle. It's more about me treating my future self and really thinking about how to have a bright and secure future. So it's something that should feel motivating. And then you have some left over. Now, when I was younger, my husband and I, we didn't have much left over. There was a time when we couldn't save anything because we were still in debt. And then there was a time where eventually we started saving, and it was very little, but better than nothing. I think we started saving maybe like $100 a month. And then over time it grew. And, you know, lifestyle inflation was a real risk, meaning the more our income grew, the more it was tempting to just go out and splurge more and more. And frankly, our lifestyle has become a lot more comfortable, and we do have more luxuries in our life, and we do buy things that we don't need to buy just because we can and we want it, and we travel more, and we travel more in like that sort of, you know, comfort way versus booking budget hotels. Now we're going for the nicer ones, and we're flying in a different way, and all of that because we can, and life is meant to be enjoyed. But we are measured, because if all of our money goes into just all of that, then again we'll be back to how we were when we were in our 20s, saving almost nothing. So then it's like we never made any progress, and all we are doing is supporting all these other companies and other people and other brands to flourish while we are back to square one. So as much as our income has grown, we've been equally mindful about increasing our savings. And, you know, something I mentioned in previous videos, I've always said, don't save a dollar amount, save a percentage. So if you have a certain amount coming in, think to yourself after doing all your calculations, okay, so this is going to be about 10% savings or 20% savings, or I'm going to be aggressive and do 40% savings or whatever. Maybe in the beginning it's 5% of your income. But I want you to come up with a percentage, because then as your income grows, that percentage will follow along proportionally. So 10% of 1,000 is very different from 10% of 5,000, right? So as your income grows, that percentage will be reflective proportionally. If you choose only a dollar amount, let's say you say I've got $1,000 and I'm going to save $100, and you have a fixed amount, then what happens is at some point in your life, hopefully your potential grows, your income grows, and now you're at 3,000, but you're still only saving $100 because you forgot that you said it that way, or you just didn't pay attention to it. Just be mindful that you don't create barriers for yourself, you know, in your own mind of, I can't do this, I don't have enough, I don't know if I can have any money left over, this doesn't feel like, stop making these sort of barriers in your own mind versus saying, I've got goals and dreams and plans, and I am going to figure out how I can get there. And that might mean a slow start in the beginning, but as soon as I start making more money, I plan to do X, Y, and Z and increase my savings. Or I have a plan to increase my income by taking on a side hustle, or by negotiating a promotion, or by taking on an additional project that might get me recognized, and perhaps my bonus will be larger, and that bonus will go straight into savings. And, you know, I think a lot of times we really do handicap ourselves before anyone else says anything, because we're scared of what the future could potentially hold. And I think if we tell ourselves that it's going to be awesome, then our mind starts to come up with all kinds of ways and ideas versus, oh, this is going to be hard, right? So it's a whole mindset thing. Of course, there's a reality of actually limited funds and all of that, but I think that a lot of it is also mindset. So just be careful of what you're thinking and what you're telling yourself all day, and also what you're watching and listening to. So if you're watching the news and it's all doom and gloom about how the economy is tanking and it's going to be all just horrible, then of course your mindset is going to be full of anxiety, worry, and stress, versus watching and listening to news that talks about, how to invest wisely, how to increase your earning potential. The whole like how to approach is more empowering than the, oh, be careful, watch out approach, right? So a lot of the news out there is super sensational. And while it can be informative in some ways, I think that it's a lot of fear mongering, and they're talking to a certain audience that may not apply to you. You have to assess your own situation, your life stage, your financials, just assess your life and see, does this apply to me? Should I be freaked out? And if there is concern, then you adjust your plan, you adjust your numbers, you adjust your plan of attack. But don't be paralyzed. Don't allow yourself to get the outside noise inside your head and make it all jumbled and scary. I've been there. I have been there. Some of you have been also talking about just like your childhood and how you were raised, and the scarcity mindset versus the abundance mindset. I can definitely speak to that, and I plan to do a dedicated video. I hope it will be helpful to many of you. I grew up with the scarcity mindset for sure. I have had to work really, really, really hard and be very conscious about nurturing a more abundance mindset. This is why I've talked a lot about just balance and gratitude and enjoying what I already have versus seeking more and more and more, because I went from, wow, I don't know if I can have all the nice stuff in life, to, wow, I already have it now, so let me stop and appreciate, versus getting sucked into this vicious cycle of overconsumption. So I've been on both sides of the spectrum, and I'm happy to talk about that. But I think a lot of times when you grow up with the scarcity mindset, you think you don't deserve nice things, and then you automatically feel guilty. And trust me, I lived in that place for many, many years. And my husband was helpful. Also reading, listening to podcasts, surrounding myself with just really intelligent and compassionate and thoughtful people who are also making smart moves with their lifestyle and their money helped me a lot. And it took a long time. So I hope to be able to contribute to that conversation and into that space through my videos here. And for those of you who think it's really odd that I talk about this stuff, just know that what you see on YouTube is not everything. Just because you see someone talking about luxury and they happen to be part of the luxury YouTube community does not mean that this is what I represent and all I am. I happen to enjoy designer items, but if you watched me from the beginning, you guys know it's been a long journey. And I can speak about money management much longer and really passionately than I can about any handbag, really. I had mentioned a while ago that in deciding what type of space I wanted to focus on when I first started my YouTube channel, it was either going to be fashion and luxury, just to kind of enjoy life's little frivolous things, or it was going to be financial literacy and empowerment from the perspective of someone who's not a financial professional, someone who just speaks like a normal person, no jargon, no mumbo jumbo, really simple, someone who's been on both ends of the journey, and someone who also likes to buy things, who enjoys things. So I'm not like the typical severe budgeting, don't shop for anything, make sure you're penny pinching kind of side. And I'm also not the, I'm going to do shopping hauls and go crazy with unboxings every other week. It's kind of like vacillated somewhere in the middle. And I hope that whoever's watching this will feel like that's the place that makes sense for you too, and you're trying to find your own balance. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed our plans. I didn't get to go through all of them, but these guys needed my attention first this morning, so I prioritized them. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up so that I know. Please also let me know in the comments below if there are any other specific topics that you're waiting for me to talk on related to personal finance. The requests that I have received so far have been around the mindset shift, and also around how we're preparing our children to have a bright financial future. And we are taking some really concrete steps. So I can give you bullet point what we're doing. If you're a parent out there with young kids, I think it will be really helpful, because I had to piece together all this research and information on my own, and I can just give you like the whole list of what we're doing. And then I also know that some of you have asked me for like the actual detailed breakdown of our investment portfolio, like how much is in stocks, how much is in real estate, how much, and I can do that, but I'm also just really cautious because I don't want anyone out there to feel like they're behind, or I don't want them to feel like this is a measure to compare themselves against. So I'm trying really to focus on general information that I think will be helpful, that I personally, I only give advice that I personally have taken and I personally follow. But talking about like how much we have and our assets and wealth and all that just feels, I don't know, something about it feels a little uncomfortable for me. And then I'm not really sure how that would be helpful to you guys. But let me know. Yeah, let me know. Just let me know what you think down below. And again, thank you so much for sticking around and for hanging out on this channel. I really appreciate all of you, and I really, really, really admire this community. All right, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.